Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. We're getting toward the end of the build. There's a few things left to do. When I recently ordered a couple extra pieces, some spares, I went ahead and got the aluminum rear center diff bearing mount. Exactly, their name is aluminum center diff support. And it is part number TKR6634A. It's only about 20 bucks. And if you decide to go the route that I did, where you're putting a much heavier diff fluid in, I would definitely recommend getting it, because there's going to be a lot more torque through here, since this is going to be, because of the 500,000 weight diff fluid, the front and rear, on landings and things like that, are going to put a lot of torque through the drive shafts. And so I thought I'd go ahead and get this. And again, the price was very reasonable. So we've also got some last little items. This is the last bag of parts and hardware. And we've got, just set some stuff aside here. We've got the wheel nuts, and I'm just going to go ahead and put those on now, just finger tight, just so I know where they are. Now there should be, excuse me, a large grub screw included with this to be able to go in there and then have this nut come down upon it. This little O-ring here is going to go over top of this into the groove there, like that. And that's just going to, provide some resistance against the plastic, so that it'll kind of be a little sticky when it's tight. Keep it from getting loose. Let me see where I've got that grub screw, because it wasn't in the bag. It's probably in the bag that was in the bag that came out of, which means I probably got it somewhere else set aside. Maybe it's in the spares. Anyway, I'll look for that off camera in a minute. Here's our body clips. Worry about those in a few minutes. Okay, so before I do this, I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is a titanium lower arm stud kit by 175rc.com. I got this from amain.com. They're available through a variety of locations. It's part number 10121. And what I like about these, and where I use them, are on the rear shocks of a lot of cars, especially when the shocks are mounted inboard instead of to the rear. Because, maybe it's the size of my hands. It's also these things when I'm trying to undo these screws. I'm rubbing my knuckles against this thing, and I've really got to turn it in an awkward manner, and collapsing it doesn't make it any easier. It's just a tough location. And what these stud kits do is replace the screw with a titanium grub screw or stud and a bolt. And that makes it a lot easier to take these off and, you know, to get your lower shock arm off. Also, it's the same size nut up at the top. So one 5.5 wrench and I can take off, you know, the shocks just like that without having to switch tools. It just makes it a little easier. And it certainly is easier on your knuckles. So all we have to do is take this large grub screw, or stud as they refer to it, and screw it into the shock arm all the way to the base as far as the hole will go. And then we just put the shock on and put on one of these nice blue anodized lock nuts. Now, I didn't buy this specifically for this kit. I bought a couple of these stud kits a while back, you know, assuming that I would need them for one build or another. They're handy, and sometimes they sell out. So I grabbed a few of them. I think they're about $10, between $8 and $12. Not expensive. So, and this one you don't even need to screw in all the way, actually. In fact, all the way is too much. You won't get the nut to the plastic. So screw it in as far as you need it. In fact, a good way to go would be to put the nut on, tighten it until the head of the stud comes through the plastic, and then tighten it the rest of the way with the nut driver. Just like that. So that turned out that I had just enough sticking out. So nice, easy, very clean. You don't have to worry about it unscrewing or anything. And again, much easier on your hands. It's only a few turns to get off instead of having to take out a whole screw. So now that I've got the stud to just outside of the plastic on the lock nut, I can just tighten it in like this and get it properly as far down as it needs to go without overdoing it. So, done. Nice and easy. So, this guy is not going to be very difficult. I just need to take out these 6 screws and then the 2 screws down below this, and I should be able to reassemble. I'll need to use some Loctite because we're doing metal on metal for 4 of the screws here, in addition to these 2, which already have Loctite on them at this point. The reason, that I'm doing this, as I mentioned, is because of the flex. I mean, if you look at this, this is a very flexible piece of plastic. It's quite soft. So I think going aluminum is definitely better, considering the amount of energy that's going to get put through those brackets there. I don't think it's likely the plastic one might break, but it might flex. And anytime things flex like that, you're expending energy into the flexing of the item instead of rotating. As you can see, it's an easy swap. Now, don't fully tighten one until you've got the other one going. I'll go ahead and save that part just in case it ever comes in handy. Not likely to, but never hurts to hang on to old hardware parts. One of the threads just had the edge caught. That's why it made that popping sound as it set into place. Okay, that is all of that. I'm going to go ahead and search out the grub screw for that. Not sure if this is the same one. I have a variety of these studs in a spare parts bin. It will do the job either way. I need to measure this up with the battery. So I don't screw it in too far. Excellent. as I mentioned, I'm going to be using foam blocks, and that way I can move the shorty pack around and adjust for weight. One of the things that I'm going to do now as part of the build process, since everything is on the car except for the final electronics, in particular this, and this is a pretty heavy ESC. They're not super chunky, but it is a weight item, and I want to balance the car as best I can. So what I'm going to do is put this on a set of 4 scales for measuring for corner balancing, and get an idea of, you know, where the weight is and where I need to, you know, position things. In other words, you know, do I need to put this more forward, more back, and likewise for the battery to try to balance out the vehicle as best as possible. Okay, so I've cleared out the scales. Pretty close to equal. I'm going to go ahead and pull this this nut here so I can get the battery strap off. Now, I'm less interested in these 4 numbers here as I am these 4 numbers here. So we're definitely heavier in the front, 53% to 47%, but we're heavier, and that's odd that it seems to be heavier to this side than to the other side. Now I want to test that a little bit. Sorry about that. That is odd. I wonder if I'm orienting this wrong in my head, because when I add weight, see, we've got 46 and 54, and you would think that that means this is 46% and this is 54%. But when I add weight to what should be the heavier side, it goes to 50-50. I mean, that is good that I'm getting a good equal balance. Let's see what happens when I add the ESC though. So 1%. Not bad. Heavier in the nose. Oh, damn it. I forgot about that. You got to take everything off the scales when the thing turns off and resets. It's been a while since I've used this. So that's decent. I'm like 1% left to right. I don't think I need to worry about adding ballast or anything. I'm gonna try. It's already a little nose heavy by like 3 or 4%. So I think I'm gonna put the ESC forward and leave the battery, start with the battery like in the middle, and because I can't put the ESC right on top of the motor, I need some slack for the wire connections. But yeah, that's decently balanced already. Okay, that was quick. Now, where this really comes in handy is when you're trying to balance out the suspension. And when the car is ready to run, wheels, everything on it, and you take off the battery, you take off the body and you put it on the scales and you adjust your, once you've got your basic suspension tune, you've put it on the board, and you've got your camber, caster, ride height, everything adjusted. Then you put it on the scales and you fine adjust your shock collars to get the car as close to being the same weight left to right, front and rear.